Hello, and welcome to another Podcast Valley Sunday. I am one of your hosts, Chris Paco.
I am the other host, Jeff Cameron.
How's it going, Jeff?
Pretty decent. How about you?
Pretty good. Good times. Excited to get into I Was a Teenage Monster, episode 18.
Yeah, man.
It's a fun one, directed by Sidney Miller, which I think it's his first.
I think it's first one. Bob must have called it sick.
Yeah. Bob or James. Then written by Gerald Gardner, Dee Caruso, and Dave Evans again. Those guys. And aired on January 16th, 1967.
Boom.
Ooh, times were changing. Well, let's get right into it. So we open up on the scary castle, and the boys walk in with their blue monkey shirts and black and white pants.
Yep.
Carrying their instruments. Mickey has one drum, and none of them have amps. But they just show up for the gig.
For real. Backline will be provided.
So they insult the place.
This place looks like it was condemned before it was built. It looks like a high-rise garbage dump.
And then they knock on the door, and a dude in all white opens the door and says that he's been expecting them. And this is Dr. Mendoza, played by John Hoyt. So Peter's blown away by the place, and Davey has to push his mouth shut because he's just walking through slack-jawed yokel. Slack-eyed jokel, I almost said.
Slack-eyed jokel.
I wonder what that looks like.
You don't want to know.
No, you don't. So they thought they were going to play a party, but Dr. M tells them that he wants them to teach a youngster who shows real talent.
Yeah.
Right. So the boys agree, and then some weird-looking creep show pops up and asks if he needs to speak to Dr. M alone. Yep. He almost looks... He is a weird creep show dude, but he's also a little too... He's not Igor-y enough. Right. You know what I mean?
His name is Groot, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, it comes up later. But for now, I just called him Mr. Creep. So Mr. Creep takes Dr. M into a lab in the basement, and the doctor says that they're going to create the greatest rock and roll singer in the world. And he pulls a sheet off a super tall, dead-looking dude, and they do a weird still frame cut, like out cut, closer cut, closer cut, closer cut onto this guy. And do you know who that guy is?
He's what's his name?
He's the guy in Happy Gilmore, the big guy, and he was also Jaws in the Bond films.
Cool.
He's in Moonraker and
definitely a familiar face.
Yeah. At first when I saw him, like, what is this? I know him. How do I know him? And then you look him up and like, oh, I do know him.
Totally.
So anyways, now we get the intro.
Bloom. It's another minute 30-ish kind of thing. Yeah,
they're getting good. In-N-Out Burger. So the boys are talking to the doctor, and they ask him if the person they want to teach is his son. And he says,
yes, I guess you could say he is my own flesh and blood.
He gets a big kick out of that line. And so he takes Peter and Mickey away, and Mike tells Davey that he doesn't like the overtones of this place. And Davey tells him it's a joke.
Don't you get it? It's a joke, man. Own flesh and blood, it's a joke.
But then they both make scared faces. So Doctor brings the boys down to the lab, and they ask where the little monster is, and Dr. M pulls off the sheet, which he must have put back on before he came back up to see them. He loves the reveal.
Yes.
He's a showman, Dr. Mendoza. And the boys freak out. And the little monster, who's a huge guy, played by Richard Kiel, so he growls, and Dr. M tells him that he can hear them through his antenna. He's got this antenna. See, the thing is, he's not a monster. He's a robot.
He's an android.
Yeah, an android.
Referred to as later, yeah.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Yeah.
The boys say they got to split, and they try to run away, but the doctor stops him and tells him that he's not a monster, he's a machine.
Well, we can't tutor a computer.
Peter's checking out the monster, and he says that he doesn't actually think he's dangerous. Then he growls again, and Mike, Davey, and Mickey freak out and try to leave. But the doctor tells him that science must be served, and Mike gives him a speech about why the boys can't do it because of safety, and $100 can't cut it.
Doctor, I cannot risk the lives of myself and my men for such a foolhardy experiment and for such a pittance of a sum as $100.
The doctor gives him $200, and he's like, yep. We'll do it. So you cut to the monkeys dressed as scientists holding bubbling beakers and saying, science must be served. And that just cuts back to them. So a weird little cutaway.
It's a cool little line.
Yeah, it is.
Science must be served.
So the doctor thanks them, tells them that he already knows how to sing. And the monster sings a couple of words, and they're terrible.
Yep.
Like super horrible.
I taught him that myself. It's an old Transylvanian folk song.
So the monster, or the android, yes. The android gets unbolted, and he tells the boys that they should get acquainted with him. Mike says that they should have never taken this job. And Peter reminds him, he says, like, well, you said if I did the dishes and made my bed every night, I could have a pet. And Mike tells him,
All right, but the first day you don't feed it, back he goes.
Mickey checks out the lab and is digging all the stuff, but almost drops another beaker, and Mike catches it.
He almost dropped his mother.
The monster's mother, I'm assuming, not Mike Nesmith's mother, who turned herself into liquid paper.
Goodness gracious. To bring that one home.
That's the thing, showing Mickey being the scientisty dude.
Yes.
Like he's totally digging on everything.
He gets to do that a bunch in this one.
Yeah. This is like when they said, like, we probably should show he's Donatello here. And so the boys are hanging out with the android, and Mickey says that the first they need to give him a name, and Mike says Frankie Frankenstein. And Davey says that's not a good name for a singer, and that it's not even Italian, which is weird. I don't think Davy Jones is Italian sounding either.
Nope.
And Mickey says that the problem is his image, and he hits him on the chest with his drumstick, and the monster says, don't do that.
Don't do that.
They give him a Beatle haircut, dark glasses, groovy clothes, and a guitar. And he looks freaking ridiculous. Like that Beatles haircut.
the little tiny rectangle glasses.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like that's the way, it's like someone's parent thinks someone looks who's into the Beatles.
But like, but this is as it was happening. This is 67.
Exactly.
Sgt. Pepper's not even out yet.
Yeah.
This is like the look that we associate with that time. This is just
so crazy.
stuff that was there.
Mickey asks him how he looks, and Mike says,
He looks like a long-haired, nearsighted monster with a guitar.
and when he holds the guitar, you can see just how huge this Richard Keel really is.
Yeah, man.
Like it's like a tiny little toy in his hands. So Peter and Davey try to teach him how to move, and he knocks them both over. Mickey tries to teach him how to play drums. He tells them it's about being gentle. And like, come on, Mickey, it's not what drums are, being gentle. And then the android smashes right through the drums. He breaks the sticks and ruins everything.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Can't tell you how many times monsters ruined my drums. Yeah. So the android is playing guitar kind of, and he's kind of moaning along. And Dr. M asks how well it went. They tell him that they got the instrument part down, but they'll come back in the morning to teach him how to sing. And then Dr. M tells him they can't leave because it's so late.
Oh, yeah.
And that his guests are going to stay the night. And he calls over for Groot.
I live to grovel.
And he tells him that they're part of a very ancient family. And Mike makes a joke about Jack the Ripper. And then Groot shows him to the room.
Yeah. But here we have again, this is the exact same thing happened in an earlier episode. Oh, you got to stay tonight at the thing because of the storm or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. The way they get the will.
Ugh.
The house, they got to stay up.
Yes.
The girl has to stay alive till the morning or whatever. And so the boys get led to a room that looks a lot like the room in the other Ancient Scary Castle. So I think it's the exact same room from that episode. And Peter's stoked. They have their own room. And Mike says,
Your home shotgun, not mine.
and I just love he calls him Shotgun.
That's great.
I don't know why I think that's so awesome, but it's your room, Shotgun, not mine.
Yeah, it seems very Texan.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the real Mike shining through. So down in the lab, Groot tells the doctor that the boys are in the room. The doctor says it's time for the final step, which is to transplant the monkeys' voices into the android. He explains how he's going to do it, and Groot is totally lost, as anyone I'm sure would be when you're transplanting voices.
Yeah.
So back in the room, Davey says they've got to get out of there, and Mike opens up another door, and there's a beautiful girl in the closet. And they ask who she is, and she says that she's Dr. M's daughter.
Well, what do you have to do with all this?
Nothing. I'm in the sequel.
And so they close the door, and Mike says that the $200 won't do them any good if they're dead. And he wants to split, but Mickey says they should have asked for $250. And Mike says he'll turn on the TV so they can relax, and they end up instantly scaring each other. A classic Monkees scare. So they end up watching the show, and it's Dr. M and his daughter as he explains what he's going to do to put the mind of a man. Sorry, he's going to put the mind of a man into an ape or something.
Yeah.
And then the couch swallows up Davey. Like opens up, he falls in.
This was a weird thing when Davey's sprawled across this couch.
Yeah.
He's not taking up the whole. He's little. Mike's got to find like a wastebasket to sit on or something. Like Davey's. We find out why Davey is sprawled across this couch. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, it just looks like he's an asshole. It just takes up the whole couch. And so Mike starts looking for Davey, and he sits on a chair, and then the wall spins around.
Yeah.
And so he disappears. Mickey notices Mike is gone, and he gets sucked up behind some curtains.
Yeah.
And then Peter wishes for his own room and notices that everyone else is gone. And then Groot appears and just throws a net over Peter and carries him away. So down in the lab, the boys are chained to a wall with these weird metal dish things on their heads, along with like the android guy who's off to the side.
Yeah.
Doctor says he's finally going to move one musical mind into another, and he's super stoked about what's going on. Like
For real.
he loves this is going to happen. Mike tells him that if he kills him, he could get the chair, and Doctor isn't worried about that because Gottfried von Schnitzler.
Wait a second.
Schnitzler says that it's not fatal. So I wonder if this is like a callback to the episode we just did, because that was the greatest scientist in America.
Maybe.
Interesting. Yeah, I just kind of put that together now.
Yeah, wow.
Oof, wow. Not very many Monkees episodes cross over into
Not
each other.
at all. This is mostly no matter what order you watch them in.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
there's no, like, Peter doesn't get an iguana named Jub Jub. And then later on, anytime Peter shows up, Jub Jub's there.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all here in
The
Monkey
MCU.
Malibu.
Yeah.
The MCU, exactly.
So then Mike asks who that is, and he says he's a little boy who lives down the lane. Oh, so I guess we just kept thinking it's like this doctor is not that doctor because he's just a kid who lives up the street because he's Gottfried von Schnitzler. So maybe he's his kid or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're looking too much into it.
Kind of a go-to last name. They forgot that they already used it. Maybe?
Yeah. So the doc says it's quite easy to do, and he asks Groot to hand him any 2 wires. And he ends up frying himself because the machine wasn't turned off. But then the machines start working and the monkeys make a lot of weird faces. And Davey asks how his head is going to feel tomorrow. And Dr. M says he won't have a headache, but he won't be able to make a fist for 3 weeks. And then he laughs his ass off at that. This guy, Dr. Mendoza, gets a big kick out of himself.
Yes.
In all facets.
Yes.
So Davey begs for his life, and he puts his hands together and then apologizes to the camera. He breaks the fourth wall there because he's supposed to be strapped in, right? They're all supposed to have their hands behind their back, and he puts his hands up.
Yep.
And I was wondering, like, if that was like an improv thing or if it was in the thing.
Just an acting instinct there. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And just came up with it on the spot, maybe.
It's like James Franco in Pineapple Express when they fake being tied up and he coughs and covers his mouth.
That's pretty good.
So Dr. Mendoza says that his electricity gets into the bloodstream faster than aspirin, and then he breaks the fourth wall like it's an ad for aspirin.
My electricity gets into the bloodstream seconds faster than aspirin.
And there's a funny line with Groot about the different settings.
Now turn the coaxial knob to full. Full! The input-output to whatever. Whatever! Move the tweeter to mellow! Mellow!
Mellow.
And then Dr. M says that it's time for the musical brain to switch, and he drops a lever, and an explosion happens over each of the boys,
Yep.
and then the doctor tells them to sing. They sing the theme from the Monkees, like a scared version of theme from the Monkees, which is the only time I think they ever sing it on the show.
Down the street, we get the funniest looks from everyone we meet. Hey, we're the Monkees, and people say we monkey around.
So then the monster, he starts singing like super low and slow.
Slow and low, that is the tempo.
But then he starts to sing exactly like the record. Like it's like the record's coming out of him essentially. Dr. Mendoza and Groot dance around while he claps his hands and isn't really singing, but you know, whatever. He's up there being a monster.
Yep. It's fine.
So we come back from commercial and Peter's crying. This might be a 3rd episode in a row. Peter's crying.
4 feet.
And Mike asks if he's okay. And Peter goes off about one of his teeth.
This one tooth has been acting up, but the dentist said he could file it down and put a temporary crown on it.
Like he's not crying about what's happening to him at all. He has like a crown broken or something. And Mike tells the doctor that they're going to go to the cops once they leave, and then Dr. M puts them in some kind of trance and say that they will all remember nothing. So does Groot. And then the doctor yells at him,
Yeah.
and then tells them to take them to their rooms. And tomorrow they're going to find out if the monster, if they can fool a crowd.
That's 2 episodes in a row with some sort of memory erasing device.
I was going to say that too. Yeah, they're the Schnitzler mind racing, Peter crying.
It's all connected.
It's all coming
Dad.
together.
Maybe these are more connected than we thought. Was this a 2-parter?
Yeah. So the next day, the boys are on a stage ready to play. And then Dr. Mendoza tells them to start playing, and they suck.
1, 2, 3, 9, 7. I'm gonna pack up all the pain. Gonna in my heart. I'm gonna in my heart.
So Mendoza and Groot are giggling, and he tells the boys that when he hired them, he thought they were musicians. So he asked for their money back. So they give it back and are mumbling that they're actually really good. But Mendoza cuts them off and introduces his latest creation.
Which you yourselves helped to create more than you know.
And the singing android. And the monster comes out dressed in the clothes they said, and with hair and the 60s sunglasses. Looks stupid. And he plays Tomorrow's Gonna Be Another Day. And the boys leave dejected, and Mendoza and Groot are stoked. So the boys are in the room, and they're bummed about what happened, but they can't understand what's going on. And then suddenly Mickey remembers and scares the shit out of them.
Hey! Oh, I gotta remember! The laboratory!
It's really funny. And Davy also remembers, and they go to check out the lab, but Mickey runs into the closet where the girl is reading the Monkees script. Yes. And he tells her what her father did. And she says,
wait till you see the sequel. The vampire turns Davy into a werewolf.
This is definitely the girl they had to put in. It's just that, so there's a hot girl in the episode.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Oh, yeah. But, it works. She is an attractive girl. So the boys sneak into the lab where the android's all chained up to the wall again. And Mike asks Mickey if he can reverse the machine. And Mickey says that it's a cinch. And this is showing, again, Mickey is the gadget guy.
Yes.
And so he pushes a bunch of buttons, straps everyone in. Peter tells him to throw the switch, and he tries, but he's too far away. He can't reach the switch. So Mendoza and Groot are coming back to check on the android. And he asks the mirror who's the evilest of them all. And it turns out he's only the second most evil. And the mirror tells him he's got to try harder. And then that's it. That's a whole little scene. So Mickey says he's ready to flick the switch, but it might be dangerous. Mike tells him that if it's okay, because he's fatalistic. Which that's a funny line.
For real.
Mickey asks what that means, and he says,
well, I figure either an electrode's got my name on it or it hasn't.
And Mickey uses a cane to go through a bunch of weird motions, clicking all these different wires and wiggling things and doing shit. And he finally drops a switch, and a huge explosion happens, and the monkeys wiggle out, but the monster seems okay. And he starts talking like a hippie, which is super weird.
Let's split. Go to my pad. That's where it's at. Groovy? Dig?
Well, great. Now we got a super hippie on our hands.
So Groot answers a phone. He says there's an important call from Mendoza, and when he answers it, he says that he's not interested in the bossa nova lessons. And that's it. And to think that
might be a callback. That could have been, what's her name? Ms. Bunwell.
Mrs. Bunwell, yeah. This might be a huge call. Maybe like Sydney, the director, was like a big fan of what was going on. He just wanted to rope so many different things in. So anyway, yeah, another callback weird scene just to break up what's going on in the lab.
Yes.
And Mickey says he's got it right this time, flicks the switch again, and there's another huge explosion. And Mike asks how he's feeling, and he says he starts talking like the monster.
Okay, Mike, how do you feel?
Chill.
With switch brains in the wrong way. Upstairs, Groot asks Mendoza that since he was a success with the monster, is he going to fulfill his promise to Groot and make him a tall, strong monster. And Mendoza says he'll turn him into a vampire, but Groot wants to be a wolf man, and but then starts to reconsider. But my question is, like, weren't they on their way to the lab when he talked to the mirror? And then they stopped to answer the phone, and then they stopped to do this other thing. Like, it's a long process to get down to the monkeys.
It is.
So in the lab, Mickey thinks he really has it this time. Flicks the switch. There's an explosion around the monster, and he's talking like an interior decorator.
I would do this room in French Provincial. The color scheme should be lavender and puce.
So then Mickey takes the beaker and promises that he'll fix it this time, but instead he spills the liquid all over the machine.
Yes.
Total klutz bag. And so that alerts Mendoza and Groot, and they go into the lab and tell the monster to kill the monkeys. And just before he does, Peter goes full Linus on him, and he gives him a passionate speech.
The doctor's an evil man. He wants to exploit you. You're only a pawn in his hands, a tool for his avaricious ambition.
And Mike asks Davey where that came from. He tells him that it's on page 28 of the script. They have the script. Peter tells the monster that Mendoza is going to make 60% of his income. And then the monster turns on Dr. M, who then turns him back to Peter, back to Dr. M, back to Peter. They keep making the monster switch to each guy.
They snuck a little music business commentary in there, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, this is just when they were probably getting wise to how things were working
Yeah.
behind the scenes. And
For real.
headquarters is looming.
Looming.
As the monster goes back and forth, Mickey starts a record, and it's your Auntie Griselda. The first time in the series this gets played.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I don't remember it yet.
I think you might be right. That's, yeah.
And I hadn't heard Auntie Griselda in quite a while, actually. And I totally forget how it's so bonkers.
It's great.
Like when
We'll talk about when we pull it, but it's
yeah,
a really wacky song. And it was supposed to be sort of straight-faced. But, like, it's Peter, and he's naturally sort of sweet and goofy.
yeah.
And he does the sound effects and everything. Allegedly on the spot, right?
I assume, yeah. I love when he just goes, yeah.
It's so fun.
But yeah,
And it's very much a show song.
yes,
I listen to it, I think of the show.
yeah. Which leads into the Monkees Romp. So Griselda's the Monkees Romp song.
Yes.
And it's like the boys running around the lab, Mike playing the machine like it's an instrument.
Yeah.
Mickey playing on the glassware. Mickey turns into a monster. The monster's chasing them. Davey opens up the closet with the girl, and she
Yes.
grabs him, and they start making out.
She's got my jacket.
But then Davey holds up the sign.
Yeah.
There's a cute little joke. It said something about a sequel.
A sequel, you better believe it.
It's just so you better believe it, mate.
Yeah.
Would have been cooler. But this indicates to me, and it flipped a switch, that we don't see the superimposed text on the episodes anymore. I don't know if for production reasons or if that guy quit or whatever, but now they're just holding up signs instead of having the freeze frame text things. Apparently that was just like a very early Monkees thing.
Yeah, which is interesting. It's almost like they go very Looney Tunes, like
Maybe,
how they would hold
or
up the
you
signs.
think maybe it's a production turnaround thing.
Like quicker?
They don't have time to do the thing where they got to.
Yeah, again, like I don't know how
This probably took some doing back in the day.
I wonder how it would have been done, like chroma keying or something
on
like
the frames of film itself.
I don't know, yeah, because you could do things like where you'd put up like a newscaster's name and stuff, right?
Yeah, but
still
back
did
then,
that. Yeah, you still have that up there. You have the superimpose on like it would be like a lever on the board.
There must have been some reason they kind of just stopped doing it.
Yeah,
a manpower thing. Maybe just because they're cranking out these episodes.
Yeah.
There's like 30 something of them in the first season.
yeah. So yeah, the guys like groom the monster. And then the weird puppet dragon footage that pops up a couple times.
Yeah.
It's weird. And so at the end of it, the boys capture Mendoza and Groot. So Mike's on the phone with the cops. They've got Mendoza and Groot tied up, and he asks Mendoza what the street name is, and he says Rosebud Lane. And then Mike says
Rosebud, I thought that's the name of a sled.
which is a nod to Citizen Kane.
Yep.
Right? Spoiler alert: the Rosebud's a sled. If you haven't
Too soon, man.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, sorry about that.
Oh. It just came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
I don't think it did.
No, but still. But that's a funny little nod to that kind of thing.
Yep.
Which was a very old movie then. So think of how old that movie
real.
is now.
It's closing in on like 100.
Yeah, it's coming up, which is nuts. And people still consider it the greatest movie ever made.
It's the Citizen Kane of movies.
Exactly, yeah. So that's where that came from. So Mickey tells them that he reversed the doctor's process and they can all play again.
Yeah.
They pick up their instruments, and when they play and Davy's maracas break, and then Mike and Peter blow up their amps and break their guitars and everything. So they also got some of the monster's strength, I guess, put into them. And that's the end of the episode. So yeah, I like this episode. I think it's pretty funny.
It's pretty good. But it feels like we're going to be spending some time in the haunted houses with our boys.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we're in the second half of the season now. We're already seeing like the, but they're still not in the tongue-in-cheekness of season 2 yet. You know what I mean?
Not
like,
quite yet.
But I think this is the stuff that makes that happen.
A little bit of a vibe of like this again.
Yeah. No guns in this episode.
Yeah, it's good.
You think there could have been, though, with the kidnapping and all these things. Like, instead of putting Peter in a net, Groot could have used a gun to
True.
But hey, they broke the streak.
Or a giant hammer.
Yeah.
Do you think that giant hammer counts as a gavel from last episode? Put that on that's a stretch.
Stretch it too much. You're gonna hurt yourself. Highlight of the show for me, it's when Mike calls Peter shotgun. I love that line.
It's pretty cute.
Yeah, that's for me. But what about you?
When they're doing the music lessons and Davey does the hip swinging.
Oh yeah,
like the Axl Rose. He's trying to teach the android how to.
That's true. Yeah,
how to do the dancing and things.
There's
but it's very much the Davey doing the thing.
The Davey dance.
Yes.
Made famous by Axl Rose.
We still call it the Davey dance.
Yeah. Fourth wall break. Yep. There's a couple there.
Yes.
Best musical moment for me, Anti-Griselda. Yeah. I hadn't heard it in a really long time. I forgot. Yeah,
it's fun. It's fun.
It's nuts.
And this is Peter's first song on the show?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's much on the
episode
first.
18?
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah. Oh, we had to squeeze I'm a Believer in there 4 shows in a row.
Yeah. Classic Monkees moments. Couple don't do that.
Yeah. And all the scares.
All the scares.
A lot of scares. And Mickey, it feels more like a Mickey episode, sort of. Mickey gets a lot to do in this one.
Yeah, finally.
Because there's just briefly a chick in the closet for Davey.
Yeah.
And just Mike just gets to do a little bit of his, here's my plan kind of stuff. And Peter gets to be Peter a little bit.
Yeah.
It's pretty balanced as far as the Monkees being involved in this one.
Yeah, definitely. What wouldn't fly in 2020? Maybe just the girl in the closet just for Davey to make out with. Maybe.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
This one's pretty safe.
Yeah.
Pretty timeless.
Exactly, yeah. Some little did you knows. We already mentioned, Richard Kyle was in it. He was in James Bond and he was in Happy Gilmore. John Hoyt, Dr. Mendoza, he was in the original pilot for Star Trek.
Really?
Yep.
Well, that's cool.
I don't know who he played, but he has a huge IMDb page as well.
Huh.
That $200 they got paid would be $1,553 nowadays.
Wow.
So that's a
good gig.
That's a pretty good payday for the Monkees.
Do you think they got the money?
I don't know because they gave it back, right? So yeah, probably maybe they should.
Our reward.
Yeah,
is that justice has been done.
Yeah, they should have had a scene of them taking it out of like Mendoza's jacket when they had him tied up.
Robbed him.
Yeah, they earned that money.
For real.
Yeah, lost their talent.
Should have at least asked for a deposit.
Yeah, always. Okay.
Right on.
So it is that time.
This is that time.
Reach into the wool hat of mystery and the ongoing random countdown.
Yes, guy.
I get to go first this time. There's still There's
a lot of important tunes to find.
Yeah. My favorite of all time has still not been chosen.
Whoa, wait a second.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
Let's see what this one is.
What we got?
Ooh.
Wow.
It's always at the bottom if you're going alphabetically, but we're talking Zor and Zam.
Oh.
Wow.
The king of Zor, he called for a war, and the king of Sam, he answered. They fashioned their weapons, one upon one, ton upon ton. They called for war at the rise of the sun.
It's a good one.
For me, I loved this song. When it was on, I think Missing Links Volume 2 had Zor and Zam on it. And I listened the F out of it. Because it's in the last ever episode.
Right.
It's in the Frodis Caper episode when Mickey's running away with whatever. That's how the first time I heard it. It's in that episode.
Zor and Zam is the last song on side 2 of The Birds and Bees and the Monkees.
So it's the different version that's
I think the TV version made it onto the Missing Links.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
The king of Zor, he called for a war, and the king of Sam, he answered.
It's an important song. It's a message song. It's like a statement. It's like a protest song.
Yeah, it's definitely a Mickey, mommy and daddy type song.
Saying something.
Yeah, and especially like when you're in like grade 8, like I was, in grade 9 when that was going on. That's when those songs that are kind of heavy-handedly, you know what I mean? But that's when you think it's deep and like, no, this song has got something going on here. And that's how Zor and Zam was to me.
For real.
At the time.
So yeah, it's not what you would call a rockin' song.
No.
Definitely a important song.
Yeah, it's a cool little riff or song. So Zor and Zam, I gotta say, that ending rips.
It's great. It gets big.
Yeah.
It's really big.
They met on the upon one, none upon none. The war, it was over before it begun.
I'd love to see that live, like an orchestra with them just effing killing it. I'd probably start crying.
But yes, definitely a solid tune.
Yeah.
From a solid record.
Yeah. It's a great era. Great Monkees era right here.
Tis, like, I think we've talked about it before. It's kind of bittersweet because this is when they start becoming compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And kind of in their own boxes, kind of like on the cover.
Yep.
And it's heading in that direction, but the tunes are still good.
Mm-hmm.
And also kind of bittersweet because there's no Peter on this record, except he plays piano on Daydream Believer, which they had recorded in the previous record sessions.
Yeah.
So no Pete.
Interesting.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, that's weird.
He represents On Head, the next one, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Which is great stuff.
Our number one song so far.
So far.
It's Holding On. That's a song. Oh, my God. But anyway, we're talking about Zorn Zam.
Right. Sorry, tangent.
So we go from, say, Sweet Young Thing, Mommy and Daddy, Magnolia Sims, Kind of Girl I Could Love, Mr. Webster, P.O. Box 9847. Those songs are P.O. Box 9847 right now is the cutoff song between the Jams and the Jellies.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I could put this one.
It's a jam.
Yeah, definitely a jam. Like, yeah, the Daydream Believer to Randy Skouskit little part. Like Daydream Believer, Righting Wrongs, Take a Giant Step, Papa Jean's Blues.
All right, Righting Wrongs.
Yeah.
Better above or below Righting Wrongs. I know how you feel about Righting Wrongs.
I'd go one below.
There we go.
I'd say.
Let's put it there.
All right, so in between Daydream Believer and Righting Wrongs. Sweet.
Right on.
All right.
Pass me that, Will Hyatt. It's a good one.
Ooh.
This might be a top 10.
Oh.
It's For Pete's Sake.
Ooh, that is a good one.
We were born to love one another. This is something we all need. We were born to love one another. We must be what we're going to be. And the way it could be is free.
So For Pete's Sake.
Boom.
Written by Peter Tork from the album Headquarters. All the boys are playing it. Peter's on guitar.
Yeah.
Mickey sings it. I don't know. Maybe whatever song they come up with, they hand it to Mickey and see what he can do with it. Because if you got Mickey Dolenz around, let him take a whack at it. He's so good at the singing.
Yeah, I always wonder if there was ever a version of Peter singing it.
I think there is. Well, every time I've seen them with Peter, he sings it.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now actually here. Yeah. So it's interesting.
But yeah, it's and it was the closing theme song for season 2.
Yeah.
And hopefully Peter got a dime or two for every time it was on.
Hopefully. Yeah,
maybe that's why it's For Pete's Sake, you know what I'm saying? But like Mike's on the organ, Davey's on the tambourine, Mickey's on the drums, Chip Douglas I think is on the bass while Peter plays guitar. And
it's a classic, like a classic actual band Monkees song.
Yes, like once you're a fan of the Monkees, you understand that this is an important song. And even though at Headquarters, I think sometimes the musicianship gets a bit shaky because of what it is. It's them playing, and some of them are just learning. But this is a fully realized, really good tune. And it's just well performed. And
yeah, Mickey's vocals on it are fantastic.
Oh, yes.
I was saying, we were listening to it again. The end, like when he's holding that note and then like does a little trill with it, is amazing. And great tune, anti-war song, just to have everybody love each other.
Yeah,
yeah, and it was a great closing song to the series.
Yeah, and it looked like it went well with those pictures you loved during the closing credits.
Yeah, I do think of Peter holding the hat over his head, looking scared when I hear this song. But yeah, so where are you?
Oh boy,
here's our top 10 right now. So long title: Pleasant Valley Sunday, Circle Sky, Listen to the Band.
Listen to the band.
You Just May Be the One, Girl I Knew Somewhere, Valerie, I'm a Believer, Love You Better. I'm Not Your Stepping Stone.
That's a tight 10.
That's a tight 10. Then it's got Randy Scouse bit. Get. Randy Scouse bit. Randy Scouse get. Papa Jean's Blues. Take a Giant Step. Righting Wrongs.
Okay, it's
Zorn's
up.
Am.
It's around where it is. We have to. It's Papa Jean's Blue. Is it better? Would you rather listen to this than Randy Scouse get? I'd probably listen to them pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
I might be listening to the Peter disc or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's right around where I put it. Let's just put it somewhere so we can get on with this.
Let's put it at number 11, right after Stepping Stone.
Sounds good.
Okay. Ooh. This is a better week than last week.
Or last 2 weeks ago. How long has it been? Time marches on, my friend.
It does. Here I go. Okay. I've got one. I'm pulling it out. Get ready. Oops. I hit my head. Hold On Girl.
Hold on, be a little bit stronger. Wait a little bit longer. Help is on its way.
Okay, so Hold On Girl.
Oh, yes.
It's a song. One thing, they sound like they're sedated at the chorus. Where they're like, hold on, girl. Like, they sound like they're 2 rooms away, shouting it through a tube.
Indeed. Like, it's another Davey song.
With the harpsichord.
Yeah, so it's got the keyboard touches, I like stuff like that.
Yeah, I do too, yeah.
The tootling. Yeah, the Monkees' keyboards. It kind of hooks it to the time. It's kind of fun. And it's a little more of a rocker than...
Oh, yeah. It's not garbage by any means.
No. But I have kind of a feeling it might end up at near the bottom of the cat, also known as Davy Jones' locker at this point.
It's true, though. It doesn't have a lot of pizzazz. Above or below theme from the Monkees?
I'd say below...
All right, because then we have Let's Dance On.
Right. And I think that's a better listen. So I think we'll put it right under Let's Dance On.
All right.
Yeah.
Right above whatever it was. Did we just drop
I think
something?
it Wasn't Born to Follow. It was the Peter song from Good Times.
Oh, yeah.
So I think
that's a good spot for it.
Yeah.
All right. So today, our big 3 were Zorn's Am, For Pete's Sake, and this one. What's it called again? Hold On. Girl. Hold On Girl.
A memorable Davy Jones number.
Not a bad 2 out of 3 awesomes.
Right on.
2 jams, 1 jelly.
Exactly.
So, okay. That's our episode for today. Thanks for checking us out.
Yeah.
From me, Chris Paco.
And me, Jeff Cameron.
Have yourself a Monkees little evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey Monkees fans, if you like what you're hearing, you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They're all at Podcast Valley Sunday. We'd love to hear from you. Also on our Facebook group, we'll be updating the countdown every week, so you can keep up to date with that. And if you can rate us, please rate us, but be nice. We're thin-skinned.